revolutionary quotes to empower courage, change perspectives, and inspire action. Part 1. The Foundation of Courage, Finding Strength Within. Imagine you're standing on the edge of a cliff, the vast expanse of the ocean stretching endlessly before you. The winds howl, the ground beneath your feet feels unsteady, and yet, something within you whispers to step forward, not in fear but in purpose. This moment, raw and visceral, embodies the essence of courage. Courage is not the absence of fear but the presence of clarity in its midst. But how do we find such clarity when the noise of life surrounds us? We begin with a question that cuts to the heart of courage. What if fear is not your enemy but your teacher? Epictetus once said, "It's not what happens to you but how you react to it that matters." This quote is deceptively simple but incredibly profound. Imagine a modern scenario, losing a job or facing public criticism. The immediate reaction might be panic or anger. But pause and consider, what if these moments were invitations to uncover what truly matters to you? Take a deep breath. That pause is where courage begins. Courage grows when we align our actions with our inner values. Think about a time you stood up for something you believed in, even when it was difficult. What gave you that strength? Was it the approval of others? Or was it a quiet conviction that you were doing what was right? Could it be that courage is not about standing taller, but about standing truer to yourself? Let's explore another quote. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor who led armies in chaos, wrote to himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." Imagine the chaos of a battlefield, decisions made in the face of life and death. Now transpose that to our modern battles, meeting deadlines, dealing with failure, or handling rejection. Isn't the battlefield the same, only dressed differently? Here's a challenge for you. Take a piece of paper and write down 3 things you've been avoiding because of fear. Ask yourself, what's the worst that could happen if you face them? More importantly, what's the best that could happen? That's where courage lies, not in eliminating fear but in deciding that something else is more important. Seneca, another Stoic master, said, "We suffer more often in imagination than in reality." How many nights have you lain awake, spinning worst-case scenarios in your head, only to find the reality far less dramatic? Courage is the act of stepping into reality, no matter how uncertain, rather than staying imprisoned by imagined fears. But here's a twist to consider. What if our fear of failure is really a fear of success? The weight of responsibility, the unknown of a better life. Do these possibilities scare us more than the comfort of staying where we are? The foundation of courage is not built in grand acts but in small decisions repeated daily. Like a sculptor chiseling away at a block of marble, we carve out courage one choice at a time. You don't need to leap off the cliff today. You just need to take a step closer to the edge. Part 2. The shift in perspective, seeing the world with new eyes. Perspective is a curious thing. It's like a lens through which we see the world, shaping our reality. But here's the paradox. While we often think we're looking at the world objectively, we're actually seeing it filtered through our beliefs, fears, and biases. So the question arises, what if the way you see the world is the only thing standing between you and a better life? One of the most revolutionary quotes on perspective comes from Viktor Frankl, a Holocaust survivor and psychologist, who wrote, "When we are no longer able to change a situation, we are challenged to change ourselves." Imagine the unthinkable, being imprisoned in a concentration camp, stripped of freedom, dignity, and choice. Yet even in that darkness, Frankl found light. He realized that while his captors could control his body, his mind was his own. This realization is a cornerstone of perspective. Your freedom lies in how you choose to interpret your circumstances. Think about your life. How often do you react to situations as if they're fixed and immovable? A difficult boss, a failing relationship, or financial struggles, they can feel like walls closing in. But what if those walls are mirrors, reflecting the stories we tell ourselves? Marcus Aurelius offers another lens. Everything we hear is an opinion, not a fact. Everything we see is a perspective, not the truth. Let's test this. Picture a rainy day. To one person, it's a ruined picnic. To another, it's nourishment for the earth. The rain didn't change, only the perspective did. So, here's a challenge for you. The next time you face a setback, ask yourself, what am I missing here? Often, the answers lie not in what's happening but in how you're interpreting it. A missed promotion might be the push you need to find a better job. A breakup might be the catalyst for discovering who you are without someone else defining you. Perspective isn't just about seeing the silver lining. It's about seeing the full picture. Think of the story of the blind men and the elephant. Each man touches a different part of the elephant, its trunk, leg, tail, and believes they understand what it is. But none of them see the whole. Are we, too, blind to the larger truths of our lives? Here's where revolutionary quotes become practical tools. Epictetus said, "It's not things that upset us but our judgments about them." When someone cuts you off in traffic, do you curse them as inconsiderate? Or do you wonder if they're rushing to a hospital? When you fail at something, do you label yourself a failure? Or do you see it as a step in your growth? These judgments shape not just how we feel but who we become. Ask yourself this. If someone were to narrate your life as a story, what would they say about how you handle challenges? Would they describe a hero who learns and grows or a victim trapped by their circumstances? Another shift in perspective involves time. Seneca reminds us, "It is not that we have a short time to live, but that we waste much of it." We often act as if time is infinite, putting off our dreams, delaying important conversations, and avoiding decisions. But if you knew you had only a year left, how would that change your choices? Here's an exercise for you. Imagine holding an hourglass, the sand slipping through your fingers. That's your life. What will you do with the grains you have left? This isn't meant to create anxiety but urgency, the kind that inspires action rather than regret. One final thought. Perspective is contagious. The way you see the world influences those around you. If you approach life with curiosity and resilience, you give others permission to do the same. So the question isn't just how your perspective can change your life, but how it can ripple outward to change others. Part 3. The call to action, turning insights into transformation. Insight without action is like a seed that never touches the soil. It holds infinite potential but never grows into something real. So, the question we must now face is this. What will you do with the wisdom you've gained? Will it remain an idea? Or will it become a force that shapes your life? Let's start with one of the most empowering quotes of all time. "Be the change that you wish to see in the world," attributed to Mahatma Gandhi. This statement distills the essence of transformation. It's not about waiting for circumstances, people, or systems to change. It's about becoming the catalyst for change yourself. Imagine your life as a story. In every great story, there's a moment when the hero stops reacting to events and starts shaping them. What would it take for you to step into that role? What would it mean to stop being a passive observer of your life and become the author of your destiny? The first step is courage. Recall Marcus Aurelius. "Waste no more time arguing about what a good man should be. Be one." This quote challenges us to stop overthinking and start doing. If you want to be kinder, act kindly. If you want to be resilient, face challenges with composure. There is no perfect moment to begin. There is only now. Let's make this real. Write down one area of your life where you feel stuck. Next to it, write one action, no matter how small, that you can take today to move forward. For example, if you're struggling with procrastination, commit to working for just 10 minutes on that project you've been avoiding. If you're feeling disconnected from loved ones, send a simple message letting them know you care. Now, let's talk about fear, the ever-present shadow that holds us back. Nelson Mandela once said, "I learned that courage was not the absence of fear, but the triumph over it. The brave man is not he who does not feel afraid, but he who conquers that fear." Think about the fears that have kept you in place. Are they as insurmountable as they seem? Or have they grown larger in your mind because you've avoided facing them? Here's an exercise for fear. Visualize the worst-case scenario of something you're afraid to do. Feel the discomfort, the uncertainty. Now ask yourself, if this happened, could I survive it? The answer, more often than not, is yes. And once you realize that, fear loses its power. Transformation also requires perspective. Recall Epictetus. First say to yourself what you would be, and then do what you have to do. Who do you want to become? Person of discipline, compassion, strength? Define it clearly. Then reverse engineer the habits, decisions, and actions that will get you there. Transformation is not a leap. It's a journey of consistent, deliberate steps. James Clear, author of Atomic Habits, emphasizes this beautifully. Small actions, repeated daily, lead to remarkable results. Want to read more? Start with 1 page a day. Want to get healthier? Take a 10-minute walk. Transformation doesn't require perfection, only persistence. But here's the most important truth about action. It's not just about changing your life. It's about creating a ripple effect. Your courage inspires others to be courageous. Your perspective challenges others to think differently. Your transformation becomes a light that others can follow. Here's one final challenge. Imagine yourself 5 years from now. Picture the person you've become, the clarity in your mind, the courage in your heart, the actions you've taken. Now ask yourself, what did I do today to start becoming that person? Remember, every great revolution starts with a single act of defiance. Let that act be yours today, because the world doesn't change when we wait for someone else to lead. It changes when we decide to lead ourselves. And so, I leave you with one last thought. The best way to predict the future is to create it. The future you dream of doesn't exist yet, but it can. The power is in your hands, your mind, and your heart. What will you do with it?